simple. I was thinking about something funny. Well, welcome to the Film Vault. That's Anderson. I'm Ryan, your host for today. Gonna flick fest some films. Confess what we've seen in the last week. You know how it works. The Woman King, Pearl, Funny Pages was assigned to me, and a bonus Flickfession for me, by the way.
What's that?
You'll have to find out.
Bonus, eh?
Bonus. Not on the list.
Wait.
You got to pay attention.
Wait a minute. You were YOLOing and renting something, so you had some kind of context as far as the prequel that you watched.
Maybe that's it.
This week. Well, then I guess it's no longer a mystery.
What's a mystery, is it? Well,
like
it's
you need
everyone but you.
Add some skills to your mystery writing, Brian. Seems like I landed on that.
It's pretty straightforward, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
What Brian's getting at is he watched X.
No!
What? What happened? Oh, you're not lit up anymore. Did you unplug? Oh, jeez. We spent so much time lighting the set.
He was too humble to keep staying under the light.
Yeah. I mean, he's too humble to even care if he's lit or not.
I don't care.
Oh, come on. We got to do it.
I don't know what to do.
Avery, can you try and get that fucker back?
What's going
on? What's happening here is we're doing the show a little later. The sun's going down earlier, and now that we're doing the video, we need to have the set lit. And we were looking like we were making a snuff film there for a minute, and we lit it. We each have our own little light. Thanks, Avery. Look at that.
What'd you do?
Well, Brian's too humble to care if he's lit or not.
Too humble to turn it back on.
If I was a vain man, I would care. I'm not. Did you ever see the SNL sketch from like circa, I don't know, 1998 or somewhere around there, where they made a game show out of where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Yes, I recall.
And the first clue was, she's in a city that is on the west coast of the United States of America.
I saw this just very recently.
San Diego.
All right, you know what?
You're going to be dark. We're supposed to have 3 seasons.
We'll figure it out. Their light just turned off again. I don't give a fuck. All right, let's move it along. Let's talk movies, because I mean that's really what this is about. This program's all about.
I'd like to be better lit.
I thought you were way too humble to suggest such a thing.
I've changed a lot in the last last while.
I would like to make an announcement.
There you go.
I would like to make an announcement. I am very why did it turn off?
The fuck do I know? It's not my light. It's Christy.
It is absolutely. We'll figure this out, kids. All right, so Brian's gonna be a little bit dark. It's all right.
It'll be charged for the second show.
He's Italian, right?
Yeah, he's a swarthy guy.
Swarthy, that's right.
Hey, I'd like to make an announcement. I have completed something as of today, something that's been bugging me for a number of months now, and that is our Patreon backlog for our $10 and up a month
made accessible
subscribers. Yes, so all of you who will be joining us or have access to the video file after we do the watch along this Thursday, 5:30 Pacific is when we start.
Do we know? Oh, I assume that's coming soon.
6 o'clock is when the movie will actually begin. And as of last I checked, Brian, it looked like there was a miraculous comeback for one Cat's Eye.
Nice.
But hey, I'm not going to, you know what I thought I'd do? Tell me what you think of this. I'm not going to, so there's a poll up on our Patreon page. There's 5 separate movies to choose from. You can choose from any of them and vote once. And Children of the Corn is on there. The original Blob, The Fly, Cat's Eye, which was my pick, the one I was hoping for. And I'm drawing a blank on the 5th.
There's the 5th.
It's not in front of me. Anyways, I think we just figure it out like night of, like leading right up, because we're getting votes are coming in constantly.
Don't some people like to watch it ahead of time or have it, downloaded if they're going to be?
You trying to put the kibosh?
No, I'm just saying let's announce it today. Tonight.
You're putting. I mean, what do you mean? Like no. I'm just saying that we should do it right now.
I'm just saying we should do it right now.
Well, it's kind of looking like
unbeknownst to you.
Chud was the last one. Chud, which I'm glad Chud is not winning, because I have not seen Chud, and I feel like I should sit down and watch Chud. The others I have seen. I've seen the others. All right, hey, you want to announce?
What's in the lead? What's the winner? By the end of the show.
Okay, end of the show. If you're listening right now and you haven't voted yet, and you're somehow tapping into this, hey, congrats on being a crazy hacker with the ability to hack into this. That's pretty impressive. We will announce, if I recall, at the end of the program. All right, Brian?
I'll make you recall.
Clever Kind Productions is on and popping. I promised Mike Carano that I would get the word out for the first few weeks, as well as some other friends of mine who were invested in this. So Clever Kind Productions is Mike Carano and I doing production for your small business, for your event, for whatever it might be.
Friends who are literally invested?
To an extent,
That's
yeah.
a mistake.
Emotionally, at the very least. So yeah, we are a 2-camera system. We are able to come up with concept from concepts to actual deliverables. We do it all. There's nothing we can't do in the production sphere, short of like crazy CGI. But I mean, I'm a producer. I could produce that if you really had a giant budget. I could
Marvel shit.
Yeah, I mean, I could treat people badly overseas and have them do it for me for a fee.
Yeah, get some purple grimace. You got that.
But yeah, if you would like to set up a consult or you have some ideas, you can check out cleverkindproductions.com to get an idea of what these kinds of things cost. I'm not going to say it's cheap, but it's also not super expensive. So if you would like Mike Carano and I to help you with your next video need, please do reach out. We've booked a couple already. It's exciting and very necessary, especially for me to continue the dream of making films. I have to have money coming in before Jillian will allow me to start making phone calls about this next film.
Okay. Well, let's make that happen. This is the first step. This is the first domino.
CleverKindProductions.com. Look for the link there in the show notes if you'd like to take a gander at our reel and anything else. Thank you very much for allowing me to push. Now, you got anything, Brian? Because I had a couple emails to get to.
We talked about the watch party. We talked about Clever Kind.
Monarchs, top 5 female monarchs are royalty later this week. That's our top 5. And I was kind of dreading it because I don't like those kinds of movies. But once I got into the research,
you can cast a wide net.
I got some pretty good stuff on there.
I'm actually
pretty good. I'm sorry, Avery. I apologize to you because I know how you hate the ladies.
It's going to be a rough
I'm surprised you shut up.
It's going to be a rough week.
Oh, Avery, it has to go early tonight.
Because I should keep the woman king for the end.
Save that for the next episode. Yeah,
I will tell you that one came to me earlier today that I had thought of as I don't know about you, Anderson, but I often think of entries in my list as I'm falling asleep, and it's really catch can whether or not they make the list if I remember them the next day. This one I remembered at the last minute. I was like, oh yeah, that's got to go on, so it's on there. And one, a late pivot. You'll appreciate.
Will I appreciate it? Will I be mad? Will I be like,
no, not that.
I've exhausted my research, so I doubt that you have any on your list.
You're going to say you exhausted your anger, and I was like, impossible.
Just now, right there, it was like a short burst, but it's exhausted now.
I will say that the one I'm talking about, my number 3, my pivot, you'll appreciate where I went. I don't know if you'll be jealous. I doubt it very much, but it may be a movie you hadn't thought of.
Yeah, that'll make me jealous.
Really?
Yeah, I'll be angry. I'll be enraged.
That'll be interesting.
All right, let's get to Hector's email first.
Who's Hector?
Hector's a listener.
The booty inspector?
I don't believe I heard from Hector. I'm not going to say his full name, but I don't know if I've heard from Hector at all until this last week and a half, and he sent me at least a couple emails, and one of them goes like this.
This is a good start.
One of them goes like this. And I rarely do this. I don't encourage...
Is the subject line humble?
No. I don't encourage such emails to be sent my way. However, I like some good dialogue and back and forth, and every now and again I'll earmark one that I think is worthy of bringing to the program.
Speaking of which, contact tfv@gmail.com if you want to reach out.
Yes, and let Avery screen them.
And some listener art, please.
Yes, let's get some more listener art. All right, here's what Hector sends to me. Just an FYI, he says. You make yourself...
I like it already.
You make yourself sound like a real... See you next Tuesday. It's too early in the program to be banting around the word cunt, so I'm not going to say that.
Okay, don't.
FYI, you make yourself sound like a real C. I'm not going to say cunt.
C word.
When you say critics are scared to give this a bad review.
Oh, boy.
And I could feel that. As I was saying that...
we might have some of that coming up.
And I say that. I say it often, and I'm like... Are people getting upset out there? I wouldn't be surprised because everything I say upsets people, right?
One or the other.
People love to be upset, which I have a whole thing. Oh, is it the way I say it, though?
Combined with what you say, yes.
I do think that evolutionary scale, we are not set up to live in this world, obviously, right? Like technology has just shot right past where we are on the scale
that we can process.
And I think we're set up to be upset about things that actually matter, but there's not enough things that matter, so we manufacture things to be upset about. I think that there is something to
that's fair.
So anyways, Hector goes on to say, you sound like a real C when you say critics are scared to give this a bad review. Please don't tell me I read their blurbs and it sounds like they hate it. He's talking about Nope when we were talking about the blurbs that we read from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes that gave it positive reviews, and the blurb was very, very negative.
But that was more indicative of what Rotten Tomatoes does, which is to pull a blurb, a quote that is indicative of the review, so basically summarizes it. And the fact that the reviews were summarized with less than a heaping amount of praise was amusing.
This is also coming on the heels of our not so glowing review of Honk for Jesus, Honk for the J-Man. We did not love.
No.
What?
There's a pattern.
No. Not a
There
pattern.
is.
Hey, he goes on to say, this is Hector
There might
back to
be
You
Hector.
a-
liked breaking.
I did, but I had to spoil that one. So see, it was always something.
Let someone else enjoy it.
If you're having a hard time thinking critics like something, spend some time and read their words to see why.
Wow.
Don't just assume it's because it's a movie about POC, LGBTQ+.
Hector.
He didn't put the
Coming
Q in there.
strong.
Hector, you didn't put the Q in there? I'm offended.
I feel like
Oh,
Q is
his opinion's moot then.
I threw the Q in for you.
baby out the bathroom.
Delete it.
People. So
TLDR.
people, critics are going to bend their knee to wokeness. Don't assume that, he's saying. Honk for Jesus is a 3-star movie, binary, good, bad, scale, good. No, let's settle down. That means it's average. We all know that. Thought Sterling K. Brown was an absolute delight. All right, and then the scene with the parolee is spectacular. Okay, I'm not going to continue because it just goes on to be, call specifically me out. You're off the hook here. Oh, he finishes.
I haven't checked my spam folder.
Hector finishes strong with, again, I really don't give an F about Honk for Jesus, just mainly the reductive nature you guys sometimes come to when you both disagree on a movie. Well, you're wrong there, Hector, because we agree on not liking Honk for Jesus.
Well, to address Hector's specific point, by the way, thanks for sharing your thoughts.
His final line is, it just becomes an echo chamber of why the movie sucks, which is, it doesn't, because we're disagreeing with other critics out there.
That's true.
I disagree
We're in the
with that.
vast minority. I think it's one of the more interesting opinions.
And before we go any further down with Hector, let me say this. He did follow up a couple days later with like sorry if it came off as a bit of a harsh prick in that initial email. And he's very kind. There's been at least two or three back and forths, and it's not like all hostile like this. I just thought that this was entertaining and food for thought.
Well, like you alluded to, if Hector's having these thoughts such to the point that he wants to email about them, certainly other people are thinking the same thing.
Bryan at BryanBishop.com is the best place to do that.
With an I. Hector, I appreciate, by the way, this goes for Hector and for everyone, I appreciate any criticism, no matter how harsh, if it's well thought out. It sounds like Hector's is well thought out. What I will say is I don't think we were reductive. We spent a lot of time talking on this show, probably spent 15, 20 minutes on it, 12, 15 minutes, whatever it was, discussing it at length and kind of in depth of why we think certain specific things didn't land for us. So I don't think it's reductive at all to be like, it's not dismissive. You know what I mean? Like, didn't like it.
Well, no, it's what he's taking issue with is that we call out Rotten Tomatoes, because Rotten Tomatoes really has weaved its way into this program a lot just over the last 3 years, I'd say, more so than I'd like it to be involved with the show. But when a movie like this ends and then I check the Rotten Tomatoes score and I'm like, I disagree pretty largely with the, And then, you and I both agree that, and that's where the echo chamber comes in, that, these critics are, I think, afraid to give a movie with, POC or LGBTQ, these certain
elements.
And that's what he's taking issue with. However, the scene that he cites as being a great scene, which elevates the movie, is that scene with the parolee out in the... And it was a great scene. It was well acted. It was well written. Even it didn't belong in that movie. It didn't. There's so many things in this movie that didn't belong. There was two different movies in one, and it didn't really work for either one of us. And I'm not shocked that it scored so highly with the RT, but it is what it is. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? They said a couple emails.
I do. This one's from Justin, and then we'll move on. Justin
says, "I agree with Hector."
Justin, it's funny because Hector's email ends with, I don't really give an F about Honk for Jesus, and Justin's email says, not that I particularly care, but the mathematics of it all support your position on star ratings.
Here we go.
From Justin.
No, we can't be indulgent.
If you can only award 1 star, 20%, 2 stars, 40%, 3 stars, 60%, 4 stars, 80%, of 5 stars, 100%, then 3 stars is both the median and the mean. It is perfectly average rating. However you may want to define average. He's a mathematician. He's
understand.
at Stanford.
He's a learned man.
Justin's a dipshit.
Let's speak plainly. He's a He's a grade A dumbass.
That's all. That's all I got. I got nothing more.
Sometimes you get too smart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually,
Believe me, I know.
Justin comes with no credentials, at least not in his email. I was just making that part up for my
Sounded
own
good.
argument. Yeah.
I was about to talk shit about their football team. What a minute, damn it, a difference.
You know, it's their
So Justin.
it's their water polo team that's really a shame. It's an embarrassment.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, it's terrible. My buddy Brian Border used to play for him on their water polo.
I think
polo
Stanford is always up there with UCLA and USC as like the most overall collegiate titles. So that they dominate these smaller sports, water polo and swimming, diving, whatever the fuck it is.
Wait for the flood of emails to come in and say, "How dare you call water polo a small sport?"
Just smaller by
Reductive.
revenue, but I'll stand by it as a smaller sport.
All right, let's move it on. What's up?
But any objective measure.
Some fan.
I want to hear what the fans have seen.
Some fan
The
fliction.
listeners.
Listener Flickfessions.
They're fans of our show.
We had a crush of people weighing in. We record numbers.
Really?
Says the Mitch Burns.
She'd know.
Reviews were pouring in. Kurt Graver on Facebook. Confess Fletch. An enjoyable comedy mystery. The characters were fun and Ham is great. I never saw the Chevy Chase movies, so I can't compare, but
Never saw the Chevy Chase ones.
this was fun.
Probably young.
I am excited to see this.
Are you?
I enjoy the Fletch archetype.
It's his own thing, Brian. It's his own thing.
What's going on with John Ham? Where's
He just
Where's
kicked
old
Dave
Johnny
Damashek out of their fantasy football league.
What happened?
harsh.
It's a whole thing.
That's harsh.
I'll tell you off here.
Tam Smith on Twitter.
Hey, Tam!
Hashtag the Woman King would have been very good, except for one kind of predictable plot point. No spoilers. Read.
So who would have liked it
Red.
better if it was a little better?
Read most of the stunts were real. Very cool. Awesome movie for director. They did the little Twitter handle. I don't know what their name is. JPB made it.
Mm-hmm.
P.S. Loved the old guard.
The director is, Gina Price Blythewood.
Price.
I knew that.
What?
Better Bryan. Better Bryan on Facebook.
Hey, Brian McCullough.
Brian McCauley.
That'd be funny if it was just Better Brian.
It should be now. Clerks 3. Decent helping of member berries and a lot of in-jokes from the View Askew-niverse that could go over the casual viewer's head, even if they've seen the first 2 Clerks. Really enjoyed it overall. It got way heavier than I was expecting it to. The very last scene didn't land for me, though.
I would have liked to have seen this, but like Anderson said, it was playing in limited run, and at least at my theater, 1 showing per day, 7 p.m. That is not a convenient time for a father of a 5-year-old.
7 p.m. is not good.
No, I see all my movies at like noon.
You have a supportive wife.
I do actually.
Gonna help you out there.
I'm using her light. Can you tell?
I saw a double feature last night because of my supportive wife.
Oh, that's nice.
So I'm gonna be gone for 4.5 hours.
She said
for the
good-
show.
Good riddance.
She called the babysitter immediately. It's not true.
Brian Burns on Facebook.
Is it
Emily
even better, Brian? Jesus Christ.
Bestest Brian. Emily the Criminal.
Oh wait.
Enjoyed it. Aubrey Plaza does a great job.
Yeah, Emily the Criminal is coming in strong as far as recommendations being headed my way. I continue to be told that I must see this, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I will. All right? There's a lot of fucking movies out
There's
there.
a
Let's
lot of movies.
Yeah.
So a bunch snuck out in the last week. Fletch and
Well, including a man named Mike on Instagram, a Moon Age
I've
Daydream.
seen this too.
An amazing and hypnotic documentary. It's such a carousel of colors that it's as much artistic collage as it is film.
This is the David Bowie documentary. For those of you who might not be familiar with the title, I imagine it's probably going to be up for Best Doc at the end of the year. You got to hope. Music docs are tough.
We've talked about this too, because like if a doc enjoys any kind of success, i.e. a major release, it gets punished sometimes by the nominating body.
Mm-hmm.
The film really gives you the personality and philosophy of David Bowie. One of the best documentaries I've ever seen.
Wow. He's 12, though, so let's not take
Yeah.
much stock
The first
in that.
documentary he's ever seen.
And finally, Kenny Death. Ooh, sweet name. Kenny Death on Instagram. Saw Pearl this weekend. Totally loved it. The style was very old-timey, and I was thinking the whole time, wow, this is a really odd movie. Had no idea it was a prequel to another movie that I haven't seen.
But he was able to enjoy it, it sounds like.
Nonetheless, Kenny Death did enjoy.
Well, I mean, with a name like that, you're going to like anything horror, right?
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Kenny Death.
Right there in the name.
Great name.
Thank you, Avery, for regaling us with what the listeners have been seeing. Where are we going to start with this, Brian?
I don't even know, bro.
Where are we going to begin?
Let's start with the Woman King.
You saw The Woman King.
I did.
Hey, high five.
Hey,
High five.
Virtually, that's right. Nice. The Woman King is a 2022 film directed by Gina Price Blythewood, starring Thuso Mbedu, Viola Davis, Lashana Lynch, Hero Fiennes Tiffin, nephew of the fine acting brothers, Joseph and Rafe, Jordan Bolger, and John Boyega round up. There's a huge cast. But
It's an ensemble.
Yes. 94% Rotten Tomatoes is in theaters now.
You know what? It's way too fucking high. Everyone settle down. It's critic proof, right?
Did you read the blurbs?
The blurbs are all negative. What the fuck?
I'm gonna need your help this week. Oh, more than normal, Anderson, because
for those of you who don't follow along closely, I'm joking. All right, settle down. Everyone, settle down. Feels like it should be like maybe an 82 or something. All right,
but there should have been more Andy Serkis.
I was praying there would be a prominent white character.
We're halfway through the movie, and I'm like going, where is the white character that I got to root? And I was like concerned that we weren't going to be able to make that joke.
Hero Fiennes Tiffin is the closest to the de facto white character, and he is
the Fiennes kid,
Portuguese, yeah. But he
looks like DiCaprio a little bit.
He's a pretty boy, and but he's not. I didn't particularly enjoy him.
He didn't
do much. He wasn't there for show. I'm gonna need your help more than normal this week, Anderson, because between my 5-year-old's birthday party on Sunday and actual birthday today, where I raced from the restaurant to get here to do our show, I drove at a normal pace to get here to do our show. Don't have a ton of notes, so take it away with Woman King.
Yeah, so it was a historical action doc about some shit that happened.
It's got a little bit of RRR in the sense
over 100 years ago.
In the sense that
it was all right.
A very old, supposedly true tale.
I was trying to make a joke
and dramatizes it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was thinking this definitely has some RR vibes, probably because I saw we've seen RR not too long ago.
Poor man's RR.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't. It takes the action. So, all right, we're not doing. Let me set up my experience as far as how I was consuming the trailers, which was rage, outrage, anger, fear, and just fury. Also, like was like in my blood
overfloweth.
When I saw the first trailer, which I was not prepared
for
the Woman King, yes, probably a couple months ago now, and I'm like, what in the fuck are they doing? Of course, this movie comes out now. Of course, I mean, how easy is it for Hollywood? This is the kind of here's what I get upset about, Bryan. I get upset about a lot of stuff.
I was gonna say it's a long episode.
I could see this movie before I even knew that it was based on history. I could see this movie getting pitched just 5 years ago and being laughed out of. There's no one would even allow this movie to be pitched. But now that Hollywood's like, oh, well, what's going on? We got to pivot, and they're like, it's a movie of its time. Now, when I took a step back, and I'm like, I like time capsule movies, even if they're not actually in real time, to kind of let you look back on a movie from 20 years ago, like that's what was going on with the world and the nation to a lesser extent. This movie is absolutely a time capsule movie. I think part of me is upset that Hollywood is following rather than leading, because I kind of, maybe when I was younger, I thought that Hollywood would kind of help lead people into ideologies.
A higher state of consciousness.
Yeah, but it seems like lately they've been, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know.
No, that's interesting. It feels like there's less innovation thematically, right, than there is sort of like a following, the chasing of the rabbit.
Yes. However, this movie ticks a number of those boxes in a good way, as in this is a story. I'm all for like hearing stories that we haven't heard before and seeing parts of the world. And I mean, that's what movies are, right? It's about opening windows and seeing different, and we hear the same old stories.
Yes, not to be old man yells at cloud, but gee, how many versions of the same story do we need to see? Beyond remakes and reboots and sequels and prequels, like it's kind of nice just to get a fresh take on something.
Exactly. Which is kind of half of why this movie works and half of why it doesn't. So it's based on actual tribe that like existed for 300 years, like a nation in West Africa that used these female warriors as protection for their tribes, and they were warring, and there was like a slave trade that was like a very ugly part of it that they did not shy away from.
I think it was 1830s was what they was.
1830,
okay,
23.
So they did talk about that then.
Yes, absolutely, and they might have shied away from it a little bit because
they supported the slave trade, right?
That was part of their.
They were part of it.
I mean, they were an important cog in the wheel, and they would capture enemy combatants and sell them to
Yes, because that's what I was afraid of, is that they would gloss over that part.
No,
That's what I was going to be
In fact,
annoyed by.
John Boyega plays the king of the tribe, and he's constantly kind of struggling with it.
Yeah, and I think that some of that was written into it to make it seem like he was a little bit more sympathetic than maybe... And a lot of them are
well, sure, we're judging by today's standards.
Yeah, but I mean, I read some. Neither here nor there. It's not the most historically accurate
I don't
movie you're going to see. But none of these movies that you see about history are, whether it's this one or Thor.
Well, 300 is
Troy.
Thor's
very
300
inaccurate.
is actually documented.
300 Gladiator. I mean, like any of these historical big set pieces, they're Hollywood. So. I love that. I just wanted more. This movie is not made for me, and they painted with broad strokes to the point that I think the script was not to my liking.
It's definitely aimed at a very wide target.
Which you got to do to get a movie like this made. So I forgive it.
80 million. I didn't look it up.
50.
Oh, is it 50?
It's a $50 million movie.
Not a lot of big stars, I guess you have to pay.
And I would have liked a movie, made for me that got more historically nitty gritty and some more accuracy.
Would have been just a different movie, though.
But I think it was, as far as world building and seeing stuff and characters that I'd never seen before. I really, really enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Same.
And I thought the action
I was
great.
dreading it initially.
Do you know? I was
like you alluded to. I saw the same trailer as you did, I'm sure, and I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
Oh,
right.
no.
Like, I don't know if I could. I love Viola Davis, but I don't know if I can accept her. It took about 15 minutes for me to accept these actresses to be like badass warriors. It took, but I was won over within 15, 20 minutes.
Too, I will say.
So it's the story of the Agoji all-female army of the Kingdom of Dahomey, West Africa, and it's told through this like the proxy, the audience proxy of the little girl who's thrust into being one of these warriors from beginning, to where you imagine she goes.
She's a feisty child.
Very feisty.
Well, let's say child. She's 19, right?
Yeah, she looks like she's 12.
She has a young look.
She's the new warrior, and there's some like we said, it's an ensemble cast, and it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. I think that felt about right. Like 3 hours would have been way too long, and anything less than 2:15, I still feel like they left shit out.
Much like the female warriors in this movie, could have used a little haircut. I mean, they had the little haircut. They couldn't use it. That didn't make sense.
No, I think that I would have liked a little more. Like do you know why they had the female characters, female warriors? Do you know
Check
why
that box.
Why they had an army of females?
No,
they don't cover it in the fucking movie. It's infuriating. Like, how do you not let the audience know why?
Do you know?
I looked it up afterwards. Yeah, because they were such heavy casualties of the males from all the wars.
They had no choice, but
they're like, fuck, we have to like start getting the ladies into the fold here.
They were fierce.
So yeah, it's a very interesting piece of history that most Westerners have no knowledge of, myself included. And I love the cast. I didn't love some of the filmmaking.
I wrote down two specifically that I want to run by you because you're a filmmaker. These things might jump out at you. Number one, really clunky transitions / edits between scenes.
I felt that the first couple acts, and this movie is predictable. You know where it's going for the most part until you don't. And you're like, come on, that's way too dumb. Like, the most unpredictable stuff is stuff that probably shouldn't have been in there, but I guess you need it for the broader audience, right?
Broad.
But very good. But yeah, I felt like that was. I think what that is a longer cut being cut down. I think there was probably like a 3.5 hour.
Yeah, I felt like there was like another subplot or two that didn't make the cut.
Because some of the cutaways and like reaction shots just did not match. We're just like.
I was thinking the same thing. All right, number two that actually bothered me throughout was the score. The score was strange and baffling and from another movie. There were many times where I'm like, are they just using the score from The Natural?
I think it was softer, and I'm sounding coming off as misogynistic, but I think that if a man was making this, it would have been like the aggression that we come to expect. And this movie is very aggressive, and the battle sequences are very real.
The score was such a throwback to like soft early 80s, like lush French horns and
until it wasn't when it was African and they were actually doing
I like that
the chants and stuff.
Yeah,
that was good.
I
wish that they had.
right.
You're absolutely right. I wish they had used that in some more of the the battle sequences. But yeah, I was noticing because it's one of these movies too that's just overscored. Like there's score and stuff that doesn't need score, where they're helping the audience feel. Which I hate that.
I don't think there's very many dialogue scenes in this movie that aren't
have
scored.
Yeah, and I don't love that. And I mean, it's a big Hollywood TriStar Sony picture. You know what?
Seeing the TriStar logo was nice.
It was nice. I like that. But Viola was great. I think this movie, I would give this like at least maybe a more than a 50-50 chance of being up for Best Picture.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, it is, very defining of the time right now, right? And
I would be, wow, I'd be surprised.
I won't be surprised. Dude, Green Book won a few years ago, and
Green Book was great.
This movie's better than Green Book.
Disagree with that. Really think this is better than Green Book? I mean, they're very different.
Very, very different. But I mean, do you know what this movie was rated?
It's funny. I was thinking about that throughout because there's a lot of stabbing, but there's not. It's
so ridiculous how they just
it's gotta be PG-13.
We're gonna do PG-13 and we're gonna have all the violence. We're just not gonna show the blood splatter.
Yeah. There's a lot,
which is dangerous. I think I still hold the belief that that's more dangerous to society than showing actual gore and violence. If you show this over the top violence without much repercussion and actual splatter, it's dangerous.
It felt like at least a dozen speaking characters and maybe 100 extras got run through with swords.
Mm-hmm. And it was pretty good. I was a little bit worried about the action because I tapped out of The Old Guard, which our friend Tam Smith loved, and she tried to get me to watch a few years ago when it came out, and I couldn't do it. It was rubbing me the wrong way. But this one, I actually really liked the action sequences, and most of the characters I really liked. The worst part for me, kind of by far, was the clunky script at times.
Clunky.
I mean, it didn't need to have these. Would have liked it more rooted in reality. But yes, I recommend this movie, and it would not shock me if it's. I mean, it's going to be up for some awards, and wouldn't shock me if it was up for the big one.
Wow.
I mean, don't forget they put 10 movies up now too.
That's a good point. It's certainly not out of the question.
Mm-hmm.
What next?
We need to take a quick break.
Why?
Because we got to take a quick break. We do breaks, Bri.
What are we doing?
I need a break from you, to be honest.
All right. Should I get up and leave?
I'd like you to get out of here. Yeah.
What are we doing in that break?
What do you mean right now?
Yeah.
Break-wise?
Yes.
We're taking a break. We're gonna hear from some sponsors. You and
Exciting.
I are doing nothing. Yeah.
That was exciting.
What's that?
I'm glad we stopped for that.
3.5 stars for me. That's better than average, Brian.
Yeah, 3 stars.
Oh, you think it's an average movie?
No, perfectly passable.
You know what? The best part of The Woman King are the characters. And Viola is like probably a third or fourth character that I like most in this movie.
Well, she's not the lead. I mean, I guess it's kind of a co-lead situation.
No, I wouldn't call her the lead. I would call the girl the lead, who I have not seen before because I have not seen the Underground Railroad, that television program. But she was.
I think she's South African. Thuso Mabedu.
They shot all this on location in Cape Town as well, which was wasn't West Africa, it's South Africa, but still, like they shot it in Africa, and it had that real tropical vibe to it, right?
Tropical.
I mean, with the ocean, with the water there, and the palm trees blowing in the wind. Yeah, you could almost feel the heavy air. It was good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk. You want to do funny pages and finish up with Pearl?
Sure. Let's do that.
Funny Pages was assigned to me. 2022 film written and directed by Owen Klein, which I learned from listening to you that he is the son of Kevin Klein.
Yes, I learned that recently.
What's her name? Phoebe Cates?
Phoebes.
Phoebe Cates. Daniel Zolgardi. I got that right. And Matthew Maher also star in this. 81% Rotten Tomatoes. Where can this? I didn't write down where this can be seen because I got a link. Is it rentable?
It's rentable, yeah.
Okay, rental only. And this is okay. when I started to watch this, I'm like, fuck, not another one of these movies where everyone's weird and quirky and bizarre and not like anyone you would meet in real life, and they're all kind of despicable, and you wouldn't want to hang out with these people. And it was that, except for one key difference, which made it very palatable for me. And I realized it was kind of unlocking like a level in a video game that had been locked before, where you're like, oh, that's what that is. Now I understand.
What are you talking about?
The main character, played by Daniel Zolgardi, is so aggressively normal and grounded. Like he's just compared to all the wackiness that's going on around
in contrast.
him. I mean, he's not like a boring dude, but I'm saying compared to all the weirdness going on at all times around him, that I was able to like tether myself to the ground while this whole fucking weirdness, like every other, like the buzzards of the world, it's just populated with the same type of person. They're all weird and quirky and wacky and unlikable and gross. And at least we had like this one guy like, oh, this is the center of our film. Through his lens, we see all of this other wackiness going on, and it made it very palatable for me.
Most movies have that, though. Most of the
yes,
time,
I do, but not the ones you assign me.
I mean, I don't totally agree, but okay, I see what you're saying. But it's not like you just untapped or just figured out that like you need to have like an audience proxy.
No,
a straight man in your movie, do you? I mean,
no,
that's not.
The part that I unlocked was, oh, this is why I hate all those other movies, and this is why I like this one.
But okay, I mean, I need a normal person. What you're saying is, I need a normal person to follow along in a movie to enjoy it.
Someone to not hate.
All right. All that said, more about this movie.
It's called Funny Pages because the Daniel. Well, please look up the main character's name.
Let me.
The Daniel Zolgardi character is an aspiring cartoonist.
Yeah, Robert.
He would like Robert. Okay, Robert would like to become a cartoonist.
It's a two-hander. It's Robert and Wallace. But just before we move further, I'm sorry. This movie is for those who love movies and watch a lot of movies and are familiar with like Crumb and American Splendor, which we cited last week, I think, and like Todd Solondz movies, right? This is that vibe. This is what it feels like. Alex Ross Perry, the Listen Up Philip. Remember Listen Up Philip movie? I think I might have signed it to you. A few Jason Schwartzman, Elizabeth Moss. No,
that doesn't sound familiar.
The color wheel, like it has this raw shot on film, very New York. Noah Baumbach, which Owen Klein obviously worked. It's in that universe.
Yes.
It's very.
It's of that oeuvre.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Without saying, I didn't have to say oeuvre.
So Robert, the main character, he wants to be a cartoonist. He actually, I think the film opens with him and like an older mentor type in the comic book shop after hours, and tragedy befalls his mentor, and he is left adrift in the world, still wanting to be a cartoonist, but not knowing where to turn or where to go. And it is, I don't want to give too much away, but a man named Wallace comes into his life.
Who Wallace is from the world that Robert is so desperate to access, and he has such passion for. And I think anyone who has a dream and had a dream, most of us have a dream or had a dream, and you see this kid following it at all cost and being so enamored with anyone who's even tangentially, peripherally related to or on the sidelines of his dream world, which is underground and small to begin with, and very. I don't want to say attainable, but it's much more attainable than a lot of other. Being an astronaut,
you want to be a baseball player. Yes. It's like, well, there's a barrier to entry.
And this is a coming of age story to an extent. It's it's the humor that's either gonna win you over or it's not. And I thought that you might really appreciate Wallace. And
I did. Wallace ended up being sort of my favorite part. He was played by Matthew Maher, and he was fantastic. I found him to be a delightful performance.
I like the opening, the teacher that he had that kind of led him on this path to begin. The original mentor who meets a quick, untimely end. He was the best. I would have liked to have more of him in the movie. However, the movie it had me engaged and laughing throughout. And this kid struggled, even though the kid was very flawed and a selfish little prick. And Owen Klein said that he based a lot of it on himself because he was a bit of a little spoiled kid who I was rejecting the upper middle class lifestyle that he was
to my recollection, the Robert, the main character, he comes from a supportive, loving, well-to-do, at least upper middle class family, and he chooses to like move in to basically a slum.
Yeah, he wants to live the romantic artist,
starving
artist lifestyle. He thrusts himself into it. But you're right. I mean, this kid is so likable. He reminds me of a young Mike Carano. He really, really does remind me.
Let's not go that far.
Like, in what sense?
Carano, way more likable.
This kid's pretty likable. But
it's a duel to death.
Even though he's a dick, you still are rooting for him, and you still see
he's
him making decisions.
He's a dick in the way that, like,
to his parents.
Exactly. So he's a dick to the right people. He's a dick in the way that every, angry early 20-something is. You know what I mean? Especially the artist types.
Yes. They feel like they have to for the sake of the art. But there's some very uncomfortable, funny, tense moments where he invites wrong people over on very, very big holidays. I mean, this is it's the type of movie that I think 1 out of 5 of you will really like. 4 out of 5 of you will dislike quite a bit.
I actually enjoyed the humor too, like you did. I was laughing a couple of times pretty hard, especially when he first gets to his basement slum and the landlord someone asked the landlord, "Hey, didn't there used to be a fish in there?" He looks at the empty fish tank. "Oh, yeah, he died. What happened?" "Ate eaten by another fish."
The bigger fish ate him, yeah. Well, what happened to that fish? I don't know. And that's paid off. That gets paid off.
It comes back around.
Little things in this movie, you can tell that he's just Owen Klein is just he's a patron of the arts, and he loves movies. And like, there's a scene. Do you remember him sitting and talking with his dad about what he wants to do with his life? And he's just like housing the sandwich. It is every shot of him is he's just taking bigger bites of the sandwich and talking with his mouth full to his dad.
Yes, at the table.
That little touch I love so much, because most movies you'll notice they barely eat in eating scenes because they realize they have to do it over and over again.
Pretend eating.
And it's like a trope almost, like, it's a pet peeve of mine that people don't eat in movies. Like, he obviously wanted to get beyond that and just chowing down on the sandwich. Yeah.
And the dad was really disapproving. Like, what are you going to do for money? He's like, "Oh, I'll figure it out."
There's a certain feel to this movie that's dirty, but it's comforting and sweet at the same time. It's always subvert expectations.
And Matthew Meyer was really funny.
He's very good.
Like, a really good performance.
The best performance I've ever seen. I mean, he's a character actor. You've seen him before. He looks like a young Stacy Keach.
In a sense.
In a sense.
I mean, beyond the hair look, too much.
Yeah, I think that even despite the hair look. But yeah, it opens with a bang. You kind of get the sense if it's going to be for you or not within the first, I'd say, 20 seconds with some of the artwork that's thrust upon you.
That's true. Body parts are sketched.
Yeah. I almost took a still shot of his teacher with his tighty whities down around his thigh area, standing on top of the desk, being drawn by students, by Robert, and said, "This is what you'll be watching this week," just to give you an idea. I love that whole exchange, though. Now you're making me feel, Robert. Did I make you feel uncomfortable? Now you're making me feel uncomfortable. It's just a lot of raw, honest moments in this movie.
I enjoyed it.
What were you going to say about that?
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
So if your phone gets raided by the FBI, you don't want that on there.
It's true, because of copyright issues.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about, right?
Should we do a little feel, since I feel like the next episode might be a little overloaded if we don't.
All right, feels. Well, feels it. Let's do some feels.
All right.
I need some feels right now because of all the pressure into doing a feels at. All right, let's talk feels. It's been too long.
Time to talk about feels, and normally I would spend this time talking about how much they've helped me, especially when I was having trouble with my medications, having trouble sleeping. Really helped me ease into the sweet, sweet sleep that I look forward to at nighttime. And in fact, I'm going to talk about my wife, Christy, who just today was saying, I'm so tired because she got a bad night of sleep last night, couldn't sleep, whatever. Then had to get up early this morning before Tessa, because not only was it her birthday this morning, Tessa's tooth fairy came last night.
Oh, man.
I know. It was just a brutal stretch. And Christy was just wrecked. First time going to an office in a couple of years. And it's just one thing on top of the other. And she's like, I just need to sleep tonight. And I'm like, you know what? Use my feels.
Did she give it a shot?
She's in the other room. Do you hear her? No, you do not.
No, I do not.
She's
no.
asleep, I'll tell you that
That's
much.
a good sign.
So I said, use my Feels. It'll help you get a quality night's sleep. High quality CBD is what we're talking about. Feels. They've been a sponsor for a while, and we are fans.
Yeah, we love the Feels. I use it for my anxiety, like I've said. Bryan uses it for his sleep, and it's what's so nice is it's just so mellow. You don't need a prescription. You don't need to see a doctor. You just give it a shot. You try it out and see how it works, and it works wonders for a lot of people. And Bryan and I are two of those people who you know and trust, and we would not be singing the praises of Feels if we did not use it and love it ourselves.
I'll be putting a few drops under my tongue in about 2 hours.
I just I love the taste of it too. To this point, at first the taste was a little bit weird. It's like it almost tastes like herb, which it is, right?
Yeah.
But then you kind of get to the point, and the mints don't have that taste at all.
Yeah, the mints are
the new thing.
night and day different. Guys, start feeling better with Feels. Become a member today by going to feels.com/TFV, and you'll get 50% off your first order with free shipping. That's FEALS.com/TFV. To become a member, you get that 50% off automatically taken off your first order with the free shipping at feels.com/TFV.
Come on,
I gotta rescue Avery. Hold on, give me a second. I gotta fucking
Avery's dying.
Heimlich over here.
come on, Avery.
Jesus, man, you're dying?
Hey, you know what we did not do?
Tickle in the throat at the
You
worst
don't
time.
say.
I hate when that happens. It's not good to happen in public at all these days, and it
right.
happened to me not too long ago. Like I was somewhere with Atticus, and I'm like, oh Christ, everyone thinks I got it. I have to crawl out. Hey, we didn't talk.
cough and say no COVID.
As far as women, Ryan, as far as women, the Woman King,
I'm past it.
I don't love the title either. I mean, there's just a lot, there's some things, but I really did like this movie. Who was your favorite character? Because I had one that was like, Jesus Christ, Avery.
The slave trader, probably.
I feel like it's smelling salt.
The conflicted half. Avery, you love it. There's a conflicted half black, half white man who's a slave trader.
Could have been me.
I know.
He wasn't
The role
a
you were
slave
born to
trader.
play.
Like,
He was
just-
there with the guy.
Yeah, he used it as transport to get over there to visit his motherland, but he was palling around with
Yeah,
him.
you know what? You pal around with the right people. You are those people.
But Lashana Lynch, who
That was a
played
gorgeous man, by the way.
Azogi.
Thank you.
Azogi. Lashana Lynch. She was. We know her from 007.
Yes, she was great.
From No
All
Time to
those
Die.
actually,
She was
it
by
was
far
a-
and away my favorite character.
It was a
in
strong
the
supporting cast. All her friends and fellow warriors were compelling in their own way.
Yeah, I think this movie's doing all right. I hope it's doing all right, and I hope that we
I
see
have
more
no
movies. I just
Perception of what it's doing at the box office.
I wish it didn't get so tropey and take such swings for coincidences that were unnecessary and
That
just
really was unnecessary.
and
What ended up being the thing could have been a different thing.
it could
Very
have just
easily.
been excised out of and you know what, I don't know if you put something under the skin of a newborn and it stays there. I don't think that happens.
Woman King had
feel like it was
$19.1
pop right.
million at the box office last weekend.
Almost halfway there.
Yeah, but far and away number one. The next closest was Barbarian at 6.5, followed by Pearl.
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 Well done, Brad. Well done.
Let's,
Suck Pearl. Did I tell you how I saw The Woman King? This is, I think, a
theater?
little interesting. I mentioned it briefly. Just last night, double featured it. Went and saw Pearl,
Oh yeah,
and then walked out
that's
front,
a lot of girl power.
showed my ticket, and walked right into The Woman King.
That's a lot of girl power in one night.
I liked one of these a lot more than the other.
Before we get to Pearl, bonus flick fashion time. I wasn't going to go in there blind like our aforementioned listener who said he had no idea it was even a prequel. So on Anderson's request, or not request, his advice, I saw X
X.
Last year's 2022. No, it was from earlier this year. I thought.
Was it? Oh.
I thought it was a spring movie.
Yeah, I think it was. Really? Yeah, I think so.
That's what
I
I
will
saw.
double check that.
Please double check me on that. Written and directed by Ty West, starring Mia Goth, Jenna Ortega, Brittany Snow, Kid Cudi, Martin Henderson, and Owen Campbell.
March.
94% Rotten Tomatoes. You can rent this, which I did. And I enjoyed X. X is the Anderson Flick Fest, so I won't spend too much time on it, but it's a solid.
Last year I did.
I always feel bad weighing in on horror movies because, as we've acknowledged, this is not our genre. I am by no means I'm by no means even a casual fan, let alone an expert. I thought it was good. I thought it was effective. I'm open to the idea that no, it wasn't that great, or it wasn't that original, or it wasn't that groundbreaking. But for my money, I enjoyed it. It was a solid 90, 100-minute, whatever it was, horror film. They said, this is set in 1979 Texas, 1978, whatever it is, late 70s Texas. There is a group of would-be adult film stars, filmmakers, traipsing across Texas, and it ends up being sort of standard cabin in the woods style. I'm not the actual movie, but like the genre,
Right.
where there's a creepy old couple, and they're like, hey, you can use our back house, just don't bother anybody, and blood is shed, which is weird. I don't know how well we remember this. We don't see a drop of blood until an hour into the movie. I'm like, are we gonna get to killing here? And they more than make up for it, but it is a slow burn.
Yes. Yeah, it was an ordeal movie for me. Like you mentioned that we're not horror people, but I think that serves a purpose in the sense that there's a lot of people who aren't horror fans, and if you and I both line up and love a horror movie, and like you gotta see this movie, just even if you're not a horror fan, you're gonna like it. I think people will respond to that. You know what I'm saying? Right. I don't think horror fans come to us for like the latest horror.
I imagine a more casual, you know what I mean, observer is our sweet spot on this one.
Exactly. And, I talked to Florence about this. She loves the horror. I haven't talked to her about this movie in particular, but just like, I don't understand, like, putting yourself through that. Like, there's a scene in X that involves a wooden board with like a knot hole in it where you can put your eye through it, and we all know it's coming, and we know that there's a large...
It's telegraphed, and yet it happens.
And you just got to brace for it. And it's just like, why am I putting myself through it?
I'm not enjoying this.
I'm paying for this feeling, which is not...
Pain?
I'm paying for pain, which I don't enjoy. It's almost like akin to masochism. And
I agree. That said, I found X enjoyable.
Yes, so...
more than I normally would have, probably.
By the end of X, I was laughing heartily at the finale, which was quite satisfying.
There was dusty old sex in this movie.
There was, and it got kind of bizarre, which I also appreciated. Like it got very
intrigued by the description.
If that doesn't get you, I got 2 words for you: Chekhov's gator.
I love it.
Okay, I mean,
that's all I'm gonna say.
But it got fucking weird, right? There was like just
it's exceptionally weird.
What are you doing? Like, why Ty West? Yeah. Why? So maybe the best part of seeing X in the theater last year was the trailer that came immediately after, which I assume you watched as well, right?
I couldn't track it down.
It wasn't involved. It wasn't a part of the movie.
No, because I.
Why would they do that?
It was only shown theatrically. Anderson is alluding to a teaser at a post-credit sequence, which only ran theatrically. I Googled it. I'm like, where can I fucking see this thing? And it only ran in theaters for the aforementioned Pearl.
Yeah, so at the end of the movie...
The actual trailer for Pearl, sorry to interrupt, is actually very good. It got me interested in the first place.
We can mention Mia Goth and her involvement at this point, right? Since Pearl is now a thing.
Well, we can just say she's the star of both movies.
But I mean, can we just we leave it at that? Look how the worm has turned. All right, fine. So
I don't think it adds anything to describe anything further.
But when I'm watching X, I'm like, oh, what's happening here? And then I put it together.
I did too, because I do.
Which was a fun puzzle to solve while watching this movie, I think.
I know, because I knew Pearl existed, of course, and was coming out. So I'm watching this, and I'm like, makeup is fucking weird. I'm like,
let's just leave it at that.
Let's leave it.
So then the movie ends and the trailer comes out, and they went to such great lengths to keep the fact that Pearl was already in the can, already done from the audience. It was a nice little surprise.
Indeed.
And it
when
made
everything is well publicized these days.
Yeah, and you know what this is? And I think it's fairly obvious that it's a COVID movie, right? Like they're like, hey, we have a script where we can do it out in the middle of nowhere. We can shoot a prequel.
Fact, it's helpful if it's in the middle of
concurrently, exactly, and with limited cast, which both movies are, and let's just shoot them back to back. And now there's a third one.
So
Maxine with 3 X's.
So Pearl is the prequel to X.
Yes, yeah. Pearl's the prequel to X.
So they tease the prequel at the end of X?
Yeah, so the X ends, and then you see Pearl, which is 60 years prior, right? And you see where Pearl came
It's like
from.
1929 or something.
Okay.
How Pearl got created type thing.
I gotcha.
Who made Pearl?
Yeah.
What were we asking? Who's Maxine?
Yeah, who was Maxine?
I thought that was Mia Goth's porn name.
I haven't seen X
You got
since
the
March,
X Factor.
apparently.
You got
So.
the X Factor.
Oh, really? Because
Look up,
we're going to need some
look-
in between with
Yeah,
the old
she
Pearl.
is Maxine.
With 3 X's.
So now we're going to go back in time with
Doesn't say
Maxine?
that.
No, we're going ahead in time. It takes place. Oh, did you stick around for the post trailer?
I couldn't because I had to go see the
Oh,
one.
come on.
Was there a post trailer?
Yes.
Ah.
All it was, it's clever. It's nothing really doesn't give shit away. It's just a single shot of like a drone shot coming over the back of the Hollywood sign, and it starts in the back of the Hollywood sign, comes over and there's Animotion, Obsession. You're my obsession. You're my obsession.
No, I don't need it anymore. I got it. Yeah.
Playing, and it says like 1985 or whatever it
Did you get
says.
What happened?
It says Los Angeles, 1985, and then it goes around over the Hollywood sign and looks back. So to reveal, it doesn't say Hollywood, it says Maxine with 3 X's.
You know, you can't use the. I just learned this recently from my buddy Rand that you can't use the Hollywood sign like in any of your productions. You gotta like it. You have
That's
to like pay.
impossible.
That's what he's been told, and I thought it was insane as well.
Who comes after you?
For this thing that's outdoors?
I think it's the L and his brother. The 2 L's actually come after you.
Oh, it's the
Really?
two actual letters.
The 2 letters, yeah. They're the ones that
I think
are
it'd be an
real
H,
sticklers
'cause
about it. Because H,
no,
H is really cool about it, apparently. H doesn't give a fuck. Exhibitionist, that H. But
I'm such an idiot. 'Cause didn't celebrities like pay to save him?
Hugh
To tear
Hefner
him down?
was like spearheaded the effort.
no, I didn't get into it with Rand, but it was because I'm producing his
I find
documentary.
that hard. If
And
you want to
it
get
opened up
close,
his documentary, and it's no longer opening his documentary. Maybe I'm saying too much, and I don't want to. But
I know
that
I
came
know
up.
it's private property. Like you can't like walk up to them.
I'm gonna take one of these camps and go to the Hollywood sign.
Well, let's see. Yeah, I mean, there's one way to find out. Let's just, Hey, one last thing about the Woman King. I keep going back to it.
Why?
Because it's what. Did you not think this? It's what Wonder Woman wanted to be. I'm sorry, it's so fresh. I just saw it last night. But it's like what Wonder Woman should have been, and this one was. This one fucking nailed it. It was based in reality, and it wasn't goofy, and it wasn't all like CGI, and it was.
That was nice.
It was what Wonder Woman should have. I'm talking about the first one. I didn't see this. I saw moments of the
You're
second
not missing
one.
much. I saw it.
Yeah, I know. You're a fool. All right, let's
Wasn't
talk
good.
Pearl. Let's talk. But there's like
Yes.
end of Pearl, and then what happens between Pearl to,
Yeah, so they're going in the
To
future.
X. you know what I mean?
I guess they just got old.
1913 to 1960 or 70s, whatever. Like, there's a whole lot of shit that happens in there. I thought that's what they would cover.
I guess they just got old together
And
and reclaimed their thirst for blood.
all right. Avery has no idea about Pearl
No clue.
or Maxine or anything. All right, let's fill in the gap for Pearl,
Pearl.
if it's worth seeing.
It's a 2022 film written and directed by Ty West, starring Mia Goth as the titular Pearl. David Cornsweet, Tandy Wright, Matthew Sunderland, and Emma Jenkins Perot are in this film. Small cast, limited in scope. Like Anderson said, this is a COVID film. 87% Rotten Tomatoes is in theaters
I'm
now.
assuming. I did not look that up.
Supposedly filmed in
Lying
secret while they were making X, the aforementioned. I say aforementioned a lot.
Mia Goth also co-wrote this one. It should be mentioned.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Okay. So, hey, what do you think? I was kind of so it's a throwback movie. It's
You asked me a
going
question.
It's going for the 60s vibe, right? It's definitely going for the Alfred Hitchcock vibe.
Mm-hmm.
However, the movie doesn't take place in that time, but I guess they made period pieces. I would have liked a little bit more if it lined up with the actual time period that the movie came out, but that's, nitpicking. What was your favorite thing about this movie? Did it work for you? Did you enjoy it? Would you recommend it?
I enjoyed this more than X, I think, because it was less. It's certainly a horror. It's a slasher film. It's a thriller. It's suspense, but it's much more of a character study. I enjoyed Pearl, in as much as one can enjoy Pearl. I don't want to hang out with Pearl, but I found her fascinating, and I think I like this a little more than X. What about you?
Well, It's been a little while since I've seen X, I guess since March. I remember really liking how it wrapped up, how it ended, and then being excited about Pearl. I liked looking at Pearl more because it's a very, very different aesthetic. It's clean, it's bright. He's going for that irony of, this is a dark story told in bright primary colors on a farm that's picturesque, and almost every single scene takes place in the bright daylight, and even when it's like raining outside for a few of those scenes, it looks beautiful. I mean, there's a scene where she's talking, she goes into town and she's talking to a projectionist at a movie theater because she wants to be in the pictures and she wants to be a dancer, and she's talking to this guy in an alleyway, and that alleyway couldn't be more picturesque. I was looking at beyond the two of them, the two characters on screen. There was like 4 pipes like in the alleyway that had been painted primary,
like a bright neon, almost neon color.
Beautiful. Like everything just looks gorgeous in this movie, which was fun to look at, and I think it was distracting me for a time anyways from just how little was going on, because I knew where they were going, right? I knew what was going to happen. I like Mia Goth, but I just don't know if there was enough of her and her character study for it.
She's in every frame of the film.
I know. I don't know if there was enough on that bone with what she was doing. As good as it was, it needed something, a B story or something for me.
It is fairly straightforward.
It's very straightforward,
There's
right?
not a lot extraneous going on.
And if it was like an hour and 15 minutes, maybe it would have been okay. But I'm like, okay, I know where we're going. And then we finally get to this big scene involving some very good acting from Mia, and it's a monologue that you rarely see in movies like this.
Right. But
it took so long to get there.
6-minute, almost unbroken monologue that Mia Goth delivers in character, of course, It's some really excellent acting. It's what everyone's talking about. Everyone who's seen it in the movie.
If this is another one of those movies, if it was a little better, I would have liked it more. Right? It seems like it was kind of rushed. I think maybe, and it could have used. A movie I talked about just last week felt very rushed as well, and I think that was the one that you and I both watched, All My Friends Hate Me, which I think is another COVID movie. I think some of these movies got kind of put through the mill a little too quick. So
I wonder if they got pushed through, hey, this is the movie we can complete start to finish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In time for,
we don't have time for rewrites and punch ups and, reworks. Let's just shoot this thing.
I ended up liking it. I don't know if I loved it, and it's a hard recommend because it's slow, it's character driven, it's a lot of dialogue, but I found it a refreshing departure from the slasher tropes.
Agreed. I think a lot of people will absolutely love this movie, and I don't fault you for loving this movie. I could see you love it, but just me,
just that I didn't love it.
I'm not talking to you specifically, Brian, but for me, being the Philistine that
I'm too humble to think you're talking to me.
I need a little more something going on for me. Me, as good as Mia is in this movie, and as pretty as it is to look at, there were many times where I was looking at my watch, and that was the first time I'd done a true double feature in quite some time, Brian. And I got to tell you, I was not looking at my watch with The Woman King at all. I was much more invested. No, I saw Pearl first, and then I went to The Woman King.
That adds up.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So
it would not, based on your previous outrageous claim that Woman King is going to win Best Picture.
No, I never said that. I said it'd be up for Best Picture.
I'm pretty sure that's what you said.
I said up!
I would not be surprised to see Mia Goth up for Best Actress.
Never going to happen.
Well, it's unlikely, but I can say I wouldn't be surprised.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Really?
No, she will not be up. There's not enough room. There's only 5 spots.
What if she's one of the 5 best?
Well, I mean, that would make her up, but she's not going to be. No, she's good. But they don't put people that are in horror films up very, very often. I mean, it happens every now and again, I guess. But no, she really showed her acting chops in this. I mean, what do you think of the smile at the end? That was almost like a fuck you to Timothy Chalamet and the end of Call Me by Your Name.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, it was a bit of a filmmaker showing off and an actress, filmmakers showing off. But it worked for me. It was just bizarre enough.
I feel like
especially, didn't we just talk about unreliable narrators? Like how much of what you see on the screen in this movie can you really?
I think it's all really happening. I think
you could certainly make that argument. You could also make the opposite argument.
Oh no, because they never really. When visitors come over, they see the rotting pig.
That's true.
And they react to it.
Yeah. Reliable narrator.
Yeah, I think she reliably fucked up.
The pig.
Pearl. Yeah.
Do you like maggots, Avery?
Love them.
Who doesn't love some maggots?
You're in luck.
Who doesn't love some maggots?
There was a pig that's left out for days. A cooked pig.
It was an inspired dinner scene, which I appreciated. I just don't know if it was worth the wait.
The dad wasn't doing well.
He was hard to watch.
What did you think was up with him?
He got the Spanish flu. That's another thing about this movie is.
I thought he had polio.
No, they mentioned that you see what it did to your father, and now you're risking me bringing that. You could be bringing that in. But yeah, there was a lot of us are familiar with the Spanish flu because we just went through our own pandemic, and the Spanish flu was at this time in Pearl's life when Pearl takes place, and there was a lot of people wearing masks and a lot of parallels to what's going on today. So yeah, this is I want to call it a crowd pleaser, but
it's not.
Wouldn't be surprised if it pleases the horror crowd.
Yes, it is a crowd pleaser.
And do you think
it pleases a crowd?
I haven't read reviews on this. I just watched it, and I'm just gonna doing what I do with you. Do you think this might be? I obviously Hitchcock and of that era for sure that it's paying homage to. But is there maybe a movie in particular that's really paying homage to that we're missing? Perhaps, I don't know.
Perhaps.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hector will let me know.
Hector. Beyond like Psycho, perhaps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I struggle to draw a comp.
It was nice seeing the ladies are all getting their turn being dicks now, right?
That's right. Chicks can do it, guys can do it.
Yeah. Chicks as dicks.
Right, write their name in the snow.
That was another thing with the Woman King. Is like it wasn't preaching. Like, with Wonder Woman, it was like chicks are badass, but they're better than men. It's like I know that, I get that. I don't need to spend 2.5 hours watching arguably terrible action sequences to hear that women are better. I agree with that.
This is not helping the point.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what was goddamn refreshing was. I only thought of it now just because you brought up Wonder Woman, which was so CGI heavy. I even referenced the sequel as being there was an action sequence at the opening that I described as the CGI Olympics, and there were so.
I did see that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, on a plane.
It's pretty bad.
Made the plane ride longer.
It extended the ride.
Yeah.
My God, it was so refreshing to see like a choreographed, practical hand-to-hand combat sequences. Of course, I don't doubt there's some CGI there, but it was so nice to see just the practical effects.
It was good, and we're spoiled now. It's not changing filmmaking by any means, and it's not like a huge progressive thing that you might. It's not Furiosa. It's not Fury Road, right? But it's still better action than most movies out there. Better action, I would say. Better action sequences, and the action sequences aren't bad. A lot of time action is so bad, like Michael Bay type stuff, that it makes me just want to fucking split. Like I'm literally looking at my watch.
You're like, I can't be your
thinking about looking at my phone because I'm so bored with what I'm watching, and it was good, but it's not game changing action, but it's very serviceable, good action in the Woman King. If it wasn't for Funny Pages, would be my most enjoyable movie of the week. Yeah, and I saw 4. So.
How's that? Oh, what's your fourth film?
Nah, I'm not doing it this week.
Oh, come on.
All right.
Thanks, you guys, for downloading, listening,
watching,
following along, supporting. Speaking of which, support Kickbush. They are our featured artists this week. You can check them out at andersonandbryan.com. Oh, you like to tease when a listener assigns us something. Do you want to do that?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for reminding me, because I forgot to do that last week, which is fine because we had a lot to get to. But, yeah, this week, I don't have it. Oh,
AndersonandBryan.com is the website. Anderson and Bryan on Instagram. The Film Vault on Facebook and Twitter. Any more time?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks to all of our Patreon listeners. We appreciate you guys for downloading, subscribing, paying us. It's kind of mind-blowing that people pay us to do this, but we appreciate it. Thanks, Giovanni, Jordan Wolf, Jordan Montgomery, Jomo, Mitch Burns, and Mike Cole. Check out Adley's Antiques. Anderson brought us some of his goodies as peace offerings.
I don't know if peace offerings is the appropriate.
It's good stuff.
I think you misread that, Brian.
I'm a hard guy to shop.
It kind of was peace offering because I didn't realize it was your birthday last week, and I was being like my usual dick to you, and it was on your birthday, and we're recording late. Yeah, all right, I guess.
Yes. Avery, any dates coming up?
I got shit.
Good.
Byron Klosterman, long supporter of the program, he's signing us his 4th movie, which would be Turtles Can Fly. Turtles Can Fly, assigned by Byron Klosterman, and then the week after that will be Chad Ice's turn. Chad Ice is back with his 5th assignment, and it'll be Phantom of the Paradise for Chad Ice.
Phantom of the Paradise.
If any of you would like to look ahead, watch ahead.
That's a Corolla classic.
Turtles Can Fly and Phantom of the Paradise are the 2 movies that we will be watching. over the next couple of weeks.
Turts.
Thanks to our signers. All right.
What am I supposed to do with this?
What do you mean?
Do I subscribe to AMC? I've lost track. I've lost track of what I subscribe to.
Oh, as far as watching?
Yes, it can be rented on Amazon and Amazon alone.
They really got us by the short ones, don't they?
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, so okay, let's get at it.
Invade the Decade is Avery's podcast. Check that out if you dare, and until next time.
We do it for Van Gogh.